Today I'm going to show you how to make a beaded and knotted mission rosary. With these rosaries, we're going to be using the following supplies. You can use either a number 9 or a number 7 bonded white nylon twine cord that you can buy at Rosary Making Parts. For this sample, I'm using a number 7. If you have not made rosaries before and you're just starting, I would recommend trying the number 7. The number 9, it'll probably be easier to make the knots with, but if you don't like making knots and you want to do the simple rosary version that I've posted, you would use the number 7 for that. So I'm going to recommend using the number 7 just so you can decide which one you like better before you make the investment in the number 9 cord. So I'm starting with the number 7 cord, and we have the 6x9 plastic mission beads. These are the transparent ones that are also used with a simple rosary. I'll be using the same beads. However, you can also use the solid colored ones for these, as well as another bead that is a faceted bead. It's basically a round bead with angles on the sides that kind of has a little bit of a diamond look to it. You can use that as well in any colors. And on this, because on the finished version, you will see that we have knots in between the Our Fathers and Hail Marys. So you can either alternate the color on the Our Father like I've done here and use a different color, or you can go ahead and make it all in the same color. That's up to you if you want to just buy one color bead. So we will also be using the same crucifix. This is the Saint Benedictine crucifix that I have purchased from streetevangelization.com. You can buy it at different places, but their prices are very reasonable. It's a very nice metal crucifix imported from Italy, so I would recommend that one. On this version, you want to start in the middle. Now also, so this is 6 feet of cord that we use for this, and I have dipped the ends in clear nail polish. That will keep them from fraying as you're making the rosary. If they do fray, you can go ahead and trim them. But if you dip them in clear nail polish, they won't fray. It makes it really easy. They're nice and hard on the ends. So go ahead and put your 2 ends together because we're looking for our center point on the cord, which is here. We're going to start in the center by making a knot. And so I would recommend using a tool with these knots. It's too hard to use your finger with these. This tool here, this rosary making tool, there's a few different ones, but this one you can purchase from Rosary Making Parts also. It's a plastic tool with a little groove in it, or you can make a homemade version of it. This is a household straw with a little kind of, you can see there's like a groove cut into that. I'm not sure if you can see that. And so I'll show you the knots using both of these. So you're going to start making a knot. Here, I'll show you on this tool. And go ahead and hang on to the string as such. You'll wrap it around, and then you're going to go around 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, keeping them all in a line like that. So from the tip inward, you're going to roll it around a total of 5 times. First time and 4 more times. Feed the other end through as such. And then this is where you have to be careful. You take out the tool, and you very gently want to pull this string on the right while keeping these other cords in alignment, because you do not want them to crisscross each other and make your knot a little wonky. You want to keep them nice and straight so that it is a nice and tidy knot. Making the knot is the hardest part of this process. So for this version, I am going to alternate the Our Father bead again. So I'll put on the clear bead for the Our Father, and I'm going to make another knot. So once again, you get your tool. You need to stay very close by. Don't go far out because you need the knot all the way over here. And again, hold it here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total. Feed it through. Very gently take out your tool. Don't pull too much. And then what you need to do now is not only keep these straight, but you want to pull. See how I'm pulling from the right? Don't pull the string from the left because the knot will run away from you. You want to keep the string and the knot going toward the bead. So keeping in mind when you're making these knots, see how I kind of twist it and then put it in place. When you're making these knots, what you want to do is pull the cord on the right. Don't pull the cord on the left because then the knot will go this way. And you want to keep these knots close together to that bead, kind of hugging it and putting it in place. Now we're going to put on our Hail Mary beads, and with the Hail Mary beads, I recommend that you use either a placemat or a tablecloth, something to keep the beads from rolling away because they will roll all over the place. And you're going to count out 10. Make sure that you have a total of 10, no more than 10, because it's very easy to make a mistake on these, and I would recommend putting them on 2 at a time. And by doing this, you will prevent yourself from making the error, hopefully, of mistakenly putting on either 9 or 11 instead of 10. I've done that numerous times, so don't feel bad if it happens to you. But by counting them out 10 on the table and then putting them on 2 at a time, you realize you have an even number, because then at the end, you know, if you're only left with 1, you've made a boo-boo. Okay, but if you're putting on 10, I would put those all the way on and then slide them all the way through. And again, at this point, I would recount them before you move on, just to make sure you didn't make a mistake. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And now we're going to add another knot here as well. I'll go ahead and use my other tool so you can see what that looks like. So same process. Now with the straw, as you are going to see here, it kind of, you can squeeze it a little bit like that, so it makes the knot a little bit smaller. So in that way it might be a tiny bit easier, but it's about the same as using the other tool. Gently pull your tool out, and once again, you're pulling this string, not from the other side, and pushing this knot while keeping these in alignment towards the beads. So the string gets pulled away, the knot goes towards the beads. You want to roll it and squeeze it and pull the string. Here you go. Okay, you can imagine what comes next. We're going to go now with another Our Father, and then another knot, and so on. And you're going to do this until you have 3 decades, 3 groups of 10 going off to the right. And then when you get to that point, you're going to stop, you're going to turn around and continue the other side. You'll have 2 decades on the other side because we need a total of 5. So 5 sections of 10. There'll be 4 Our Father beads in between. And when we get to that point, this is what it is going to look like. So imagine we started here with an Our Father bead. Then you have 10 Hail Marys, an Our Father, 10 Hail Marys. You can see the knots in between, Our Father, 10 Hail Marys. No Our Father on the end here, very important. No Our Father on the 2 ends. So when you do get to the very end in the last decade, you do put a knot on each end to hold them in place so they're nice and even. Once you get to this point, you can go ahead and line them up as such, and you can see just by looking at it that I have the same number of beads. It's another way of checking to make sure you have the same, and if you kind of put my finger in the middle there, you can see I've got 10 on that side, 5 and 5. So we know we have the right number of beads. Now, another recommendation I'm going to make with this, you could knot it here to keep it nice and tidy, but I'm going to recommend you knot it about here. I would say maybe, what is that, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. The idea behind this is so that it'll fit over your head. So if you want to know where to put the knot, kind of sample it, put it over your head, make sure that you think it would fit over everybody's head. The reason for that is on these missionary rosaries, when they're given to people in other countries, for example, I saw pictures from some that went to Kenya, a lot of them had the rosaries on their bodies. They didn't have pockets and places to put them. Also, a lot of these sometimes will go to hospitals and therapy areas and things like that where people are sick and they want to wear them on their bodies. They want to wear them close to them. So I know there's controversy about wearing a rosary, but in listening to the Catholic channel on Sirius Radio, a priest there had said that if it either motivates you to pray in any way, not just the rosary, but just to pray or to stay close to God, then it is okay. If we're wearing a rosary simply as a piece of jewelry, that's not okay. But if you're wearing it to bring you closer to God and for spiritual reasons, then it is okay to do that. And I know the recipients of these rosaries do like to put them around their necks. So I would recommend putting the knot here. And when you put the knot on this, all you're going to do is take the 2 ends, tie it together like you would tie a balloon. So the 2 strings together, pull both strings through, and go ahead and put your knot in place. And because we're leaving a little bit of spacing, all you have to make sure is that they're even on both sides, that they don't look funny. Now, if you feel like your rosary's too tight and your beads are bending funny, what you can do is create a little bit of room by stretching it in here, going over here, stretching it a little bit. By giving it a little stretch and giving it a little bit of room to wiggle, it'll make the whole rosary more flexible, just if it seems too tight. So once you get to this point and you know that it fit over your head and you're in good shape, you're going to end up with a short cord and a long cord. Ignore the short cord for now. We're going to go back and cut that later. We're going to continue with the long cord. When we continue with the long cord, we're going to add an Our Father bead. I'm putting on my clear Our Father bead. Then we'll go ahead and make our knot to keep that in place. 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you would imagine, once this is in place, like the bottom of a rosary, what comes next is 3 of the Hail Mary beads, which we will do in just a moment here. You can see sometimes these knots don't cooperate completely, so you just got to be patient with them. Okay, and then you're going to take 3, you can see a total of 3 Hail Mary beads. I'll go 1, 2, and 3. We will add one more knot after those as well. Here, let's do this tool so you can see this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we'll feed that through. Some people love these knots and some people do not, so please do what works for you. If this is too frustrating, go visit the simple version of the Rosary. That one does not have the knots. It will not fit over your head, but it is definitely easier to make. Okay, one more Our Father bead, as you could see. And now on this last Our Father knot, or not Our Father knot, but this last knot that we're going to add the crucifix, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to go ahead and tie it the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You will feed it through as such, just like you're making a normal knot, but instead of taking it off, at this point, you will add your crucifix on there. You add your crucifix, and then this string goes back up in this direction. Oops. So make sure when you do that, you put it back up far enough that you can get a hold of it. And then you're going to go ahead and take this knot off very gently. And this loose end is going to come through. And then here's the difficult part. You have to hang on to all of it. Not the string that's in there loose, but the other string that's tight, that's connected to the other end. Hang on to that one as you put your knot in place. This is probably the most difficult part of the whole thing. You put this knot in place as such, very gently, very slowly, and then you just take this end of the string and you pull it. I would keep my finger in here until it comes all the way through so it doesn't get weird, twisty on you and difficult to work with. You don't want that knot to come too far down. Gently hold onto your crucifix at the end, hold here, and pull the string all the way through. I know some people leave it hanging a little bit lower. I like it nice and tight. That's up to you. At this point in time, we're pretty much done. We just need to cut and burn. So we are going to cut the cord, the 2 loose cords, about, I would say, maybe a 1/2 inch away. And what you need to know about this white cord is it burns really fast. So you really have to be very careful with it and don't burn your fingers. You can use a candle or lighter. I like to use a candle, especially if I'm doing a bunch of them, because then you save your lighter fluid and you save your fingers from hurting. And so you want to move everything out of the way. Don't accidentally burn through the other side, because the whole thing will melt and burn off, and then you've lost your rosary. So you're going to go ahead and burn this, and you'll see that it'll start to mushroom. This one you will have to blow out because it will just keep burning if you don't blow it out. So as you can see there. And then you'll go ahead and take the other side, and again, being very gentle. Now, after you blow it out, it's still hot for a moment, so make sure to keep your fingers away. And once again, you burn that. And you can see there how it did look, a little mushroom. That mushroom, when it kind of folds over, melts open like that, it works as a stopper once it dries. Okay, so you can see here that this is our finished rosary. And that is how you can make the bead and knot mission rosaries. Hope you enjoy.